Hey everybody, this is Algie from Earth, and today I wanted to show you how to make a custom voiced NPC. It's quite easy actually, there's not really a lot to it, only a couple of components, and well, having a good mic is probably a good thing, but it's definitely not required. Record with what you have, and as long as you have fun, that's really what matters. So I'm going to go ahead and save this plugin first and foremost. I have opened a new project here and I have not saved it yet. Well, actually, no, sorry, I need to actually import the Skyrim data first. So we're going to click Skyrim, then update, Dawnguard, Hearthfire, and Dragonborn, because anybody who has the special edition will have all of these. So it's important to kind of just include them, might as well. Everyone already has them. And we're going to click OK. And that'll load. Now I'm using the special version of the creation kit. I forget exactly what it's called. I can leave a link to it in the description below, but it moves super fast. It's basically an upgraded version of the creation kit engine. I highly recommend using this because things load super fast, it crashes less frequently, it has a bunch of fixes. It's super nice, and I'll leave a link below. So to start, we're going to have to first we're going to have to save the plugin, like I was initially going to do. So save it in your data folder as it defaults to. We'll call this with our prefix AFE test NPC mod. And that'll save as a .esp file, so go ahead and click save. And boom, there's your plugin. So first we're going to create an actor. What an actor is basically, consider them like the actual NPC that you'll see in the world. They are the person. And well, there's a reason they're called the actor, and I'll explain that in a bit. But we're going to right click in here under actor, actors, actor, right click, new. And we're going to put in our prefix, AFE. And your prefix can be whatever as long as you remember it. It's good to keep it short though. And we'll call him test. And his name, well, we'll just call him test NPC. And his name will be test. How do I make this not sound weird? Testofferson. There we go. Testofferson. And his short name will be Test. There we go. And we're going to click him to be essential. That means that he cannot be killed, but he can be downed. And we're going to make him unique because there's only one version of him in the world at any given time. Now, what is character gen preset, face preset is it makes him a default preset in the character creator. Protected means that only the player can kill them, I believe. Respawn, of course, means that he respawns. Summonable, he's not summonable, so that's something like a conjuration spell, I think. Stuff like when you summon an ally to help fight with you. His ghost is no. Invulnerable is self-explanatory, that is also no. He does bleed. A simple actor means that they don't have face animations and they don't kind of emote that much. So we want him to have face animations and all that, so we'll keep that unchecked. And doesn't affect stealth meter, which means that he would not affect your stealth meter if you were sneaking. Which is good for followers, I feel, but not as much for random NPCs, so we'll leave that unchecked. Now we're going to go all the way over to the tab that says traits. Well, first we're going to actually click OK first, and then save. Make sure that he shows up right here. Or if you can't find him, just type in your prefix in the filter under actors highlighted, and you'll find him. Mine is AFE test NPC. Now under race, we'll make him a Khajiit, of course. Skin is none, height is 1. It's good to keep the height at 1 because when they do animations like sit down or interact with things, they'll scale to the height the animation is. So if they're too big or too small, they're just going to grow or shrink respectively to fit that animation. It's a little weird. So it's good to keep that at 1. We'll make them a beefcake, so 100. And he is not female. We'll keep him male this time. And distance, faraway models, none. Voice type, we'll come back to this, but this is important for giving them a voice. Weapon list and alignment are not important. They don't really do much of anything, as you can see. And death item doesn't matter because he's essential, so he won't be able to die anyway. Opposite gender animations basically just means that they use female animations for a male, or male animations for a female. Now under stats, you can click PC level multi, and that'll multiply their level alongside the PC so that they're whatever level the PC is. And that's an easy way to do it right here, of course. But if you wanted them to be a specific level, you type it in here, say 15, and you can auto-calculate the stats, or you could just type them in yourself. But I like to auto-calculate them. We'll keep them at a PC level multiplier for now. Now down here at class, you can find all the different classes that are in the game. Now Skyrim, you might be thinking, doesn't use classes, so that's a bit odd. But the combat style, well, the class styles, basically, if I remember right, they actually go ahead and make one right here. So if we made a class, we'd go down under character, class, right click, new. And the ID we'll give it is AFE, test class. Full name doesn't matter too much. Now the health, these are basically just multiplier weights for what they're good at. So health would be a 3. We'll say magic is at 1. Stamina we'll say is also at 2. One-handed we can put it maybe 3. Two-handed also 3. Archery can be a 2. Block a 1. And some of these don't really matter because NPCs don't really partake in pickpocketing or lockpicking, I believe. So I don't know what they would do on an NPC side. But you can also make it so that they have different, descriptions and what their bleed out stuff is. Voice points is like how many points they have to use voice shouts if they do that as an NPC. Excuse me. Drinking too much coffee, I just burped. So anyway, now that I'm being fucking gross, you can also put heavy armor at maybe 4 and then light armor at 2. What else would I do? I guess none of it else really matters right now, so we'll just say that's okay for now. Now we'll go back to actor. Type in the filter our prefix, AFE. Click that. Double click it to edit. And now down here we can put our class that we just made. So look for the prefix. Mine is AFE test class. And you'll find your class. And that basically just controls the weights of these stats here. Now factions don't really matter too much for the NPC, but if you were creating a follower, some of the factions you might add be dismissed, follower faction, current follower faction, or potential follower faction. I'm not going to show you how to make a full-fledged follower in this tutorial. That's a bit out of the scope of just creating an NPC that has a custom voice. But I will link below to Joseph Russell's video, which taught me how to make a follower, and it is quite a good tutorial, I might add. So go check him out. He is very much worth it. We'll leave the factions at 0 for now, because we don't really know where we're going to put them yet anyway. Relationships don't really matter too much, but this is where you put stuff like, are they an ally, a friend, an enemy? Are they married? How is their relationship like what type of relationship is it? Are they mother and father? Are they, stuff like that. Keywords don't matter too much. I think some of the keywords you can add, well, they do matter, but for the sake of this tutorial, they don't matter too much. But you can put what type of actor they are. So that's like how other NPCs would react to seeing them. Or like, and some of these aren't even just actor keywords. Some of these are just like stuff you'd put on like trigger boxes or bookshelves and shit like that. So we won't do anything with keywords right now. But AI data, now that's important. So aggression is basically how likely they are to defend themselves or attack other hostile NPCs. I like to keep it as aggressive because that means they'll fight back if they're provoked, but they won't really go out of their way to start picking fights with people. Frenzied means that they're just belligerent. They're fucking swinging, dude. They're going in like crazy. So we'll keep it at aggressive for now. This is their default mood. And I like to keep it at neutral unless they're a particularly jubilant or fearful or disgusted NPC. You can pick one of these, but I like to keep it in neutral. Energy, I'm not entirely sure what it does in this context, but normally it means how likely they're to move around and stay in one spot and how often they kind of just wander. Confidence, we'll put it foolhardy. Now, what confidence is basically, how likely are they to run away during the slightest confrontation? So if they're very anxious and very cowardly, that means that they'd run away the second somebody drew their sword. If they're foolhardy, then that means they'll never run away and they'll fight to the death. Everything in between is just variations of that on that scale. But we'll keep them a foolhardy for now. Assistance helps nobody, and this goes into the relationships we were talking about. Helps allies or helps friends and allies. Now, I believe factions come with some particular stuff, like if they were in the same faction, they would defend each other. But if they were also in relationships here, particularly said like, they're allies or they're friends, this would also affect that. So if they were allies and friends, they would help them. Now, morality is basically what crime bothers them. You could say, only property crime bothers them, so pickpocketing, stealing, trespassing, violence against enemies bothers them, or any crime bothers them. We'll leave it at no crime for now, just because it's easier. Aggro radius isn't really too, important right now because they're only aggressive, but like basically it's how far is it, like, how far away do they need to be for them to warn you? How far away do they need to be to warn and then attack? And then how close you have to be to just straight up attack them. And that's good for enemies, but not so much for test hours in here. Combat styles. Now this is basically the weights of what are they likely to, like, how do they fight? Do they use staves? Do they use one-handed weapons, two-handed weapons? Do they use magic? Do they use shouts? Do they do archery? Stuff like that. We'll create a custom combat style right now just to show you what it's like. We'll save real quick just to make sure our changes aren't lost. And we'll go down to under miscellaneous, you'll find combat style. And we'll clear out our filter right here by clicking here under combat style and click new. And the ID will be AFE CS test for combat style test. And we'll click the general tab to bring up the stat menu. Now this stuff is basically, are they more offensive or defensive in fighting? And I guess this is more of like if they're in a group, like how offensive do they fight? How likely are they to avoid threat chances, which is like not too used in Skyrim, I want to say, because there aren't really a lot of like explosives, if I remember right. Like in Starfield, it would be like, how likely are they to avoid a grenade or stuff like that. But under equipment scores, you'll find melee, ranged, magic, shout, staff, and unarmed. This is how likely they are to use any particular fighting style for these kinds of weapons. So melee, we'll put it like 10. Ranged, we'll put it maybe, we'll put this at like 7.5, and then this one will also be the same, around 7.5. Magic, we'll say they're kind of adept in magic, but not really. Shouts, we're not going to give them a shout, so it doesn't really matter too much, but that could be another potential tutorial, how to give your NPCs a shout. Staff is how likely they're to use stabs, which I think not likely, so we'll leave that at 1. Unarmed is also at 1, so I think this is good for now. Under melee, we'll find attack staggered multiplier, power attack staggered multiplier, power attack blocking, and special attack multiplier. I believe this just controls how likely they are to actually do these things. I've never really messed with a lot of these. I usually just keep them at default, so I'd advise you probably do the same. But I will say you want to click allow dual wielding. This will let them use 2 weapons at once, or magic in one hand and a weapon in the other, stuff like that. And I just like having that clicked. Close range, are they a duelist or are they flanker? So I like to keep it a dueling or flanking. Obviously, it doesn't really matter too much, but like I usually keep dueling. But flanking would be like, oh, they try to get behind the enemy and they try to flank them and stuff like that. Dueling means that they kind of stay in front of them and play more defensively, perhaps. It's hard to say. I haven't compared the two outright, but I usually keep these as default as well, either dueling or flanking. Long range, I usually keep at 0.2, but you can change that to anything. So like maybe if they're using a bow, they'll strafe a lot more. And then he does not fly. Unless you're one of them fly, but he does not fly. So he will keep these at default. We'll go ahead and save. Go back to actor. And then mine's at the top here, but we'll just type in AFE in the filter. Find our actor. And the combat style we'll give him is the one we just made. So in my case, it's AFE test. Gift filter doesn't matter too much. We're not going to mess too much with that. I don't think it really does anything anyway. Next, we'll go to AI packages. Now, what a package is if certain conditions are met, the NPC will act according to the package that the conditions are met for. So if we right click and go add, a good package to add would be default, sandbox, editor location. And now don't pick the one that says no conversation or no weapons, but pick one of the ones that just says location and then a number after it. What that number after it means is the radius of which they will wander in that location. And the editor location would be obviously wherever you put them in the editor, so that they stay within the bounds of that location. I like to pick either 512 or 1024 unless it's a particularly small area that I need them to be in. Then I would pick like 256. But for the course of, or the case of this video rather, I would put this at 512. Now, if you wanted to give them specific parameters that, or conditions rather, that they need to meet to do it something, we'll say like, oh, we'll create a new package and show you that now. So under ID, we'll put our prefix. We'll put test package. We'll just put like AI test package. There we go. Now we'll keep the owner quest at none. Combat styles defaults. This is just if you wanted to change those things, then that's where you would do that. Now the package template we're going to say is travel. We'll say We'll say, how about follow player? And here you'll have the minimum radius, the maximum radius, so like how close and how far you want them to be, min and max. Ride horse, false. Wait location, near self, radius 256. So if you're not moving, they're just going to kind of idle around in that radius. Sandbox while waiting, we can put it true. Allow eating, true. Allow sleeping, means that they can sleep in beds, we'll say true. Allow conversation, say true. Allow idle markers, true. Allow sitting, true. Special furniture, I'm not entirely sure what would constitute, or what would, I guess, count as special furniture, but that's obviously defaulted to true, so we'll leave it there. And allow wandering is true. Now energy is where they would kind of like, how fast and how slow would they respond if you moved? Would they move like a little bit after, or would they immediately start following you? This is set to 0 because you just want them to follow you. So they're not going to wait around. They're just going to immediately start following you. Now we're going to go in here under flags. Now what flags do are basically just like, what do you want this package to kind of contain? You can have them allow idle chatter. You can have them ignore combat, no combat alert. You can have their weapon drawn at all times if this package is active. Weapon unequipped if this package is active. Or you can have them have a preferred speed if you want them to only run, only jog, only fast walk, or only walk. You can have them unlock doors. And you can have them say hello, random conversations, all that jazz. We'll leave it at default for now, but it's kind of self-explanatory. Oops, what these do. So conditions, this is what I was talking about. So we'll say like get distance target. We don't have a target yet, but we'll say like a good one to have. Get line of sight. Good package. Or what's a good condition that does not exist or exists? That's funny. Let's like get global value, because this will tie into something that I want to test later. And what a global value is, this is kind of a tangent, but I can go into this a little bit, is basically a number that is stored as data behind the scenes. And what it can be used for, and I'll show you this right now actually, because it's quite quick, is if we go under miscellaneous, under global, get rid of our filter. And if we right click in new, you'll see this ID and then variable type and then a value. So yeah, AFE, test following GV for global value. And we'll keep it at short because we only want a 0 or a 1. And what we can use this is like a Boolean in coding, if you're familiar with that, or otherwise known as a true-false statement. So a 0 would be false. A 1 would be true. We'll keep this at 0 for now, and we'll say that this is a test, a true or false statement, if he is following you or not. And what we'll do with that is go back to our... Did I close it? Oh, I might have closed the package without saving. Oops. Oh, I totally did. Oops, that's my bad. AV AI test package, and then we'll just leave everything at default since I already went over it. But we will set this back to follow player. That's my bad. And then conditions, we'll add a new condition. And then we'll go back to get global value. And in where it says invalid, we'll put AV test following GV equals 1. So when that value that we just made doesn't equal 0, but instead equals 1, that means it's true. And this package will take effect instead. And we want this to be before the sandbox package. So the way you would move these is click either, whichever package you want to move up, and click the left or right arrows on the arrow keys. And that would move this up or down. We want default sandbox to be below our test package. So that whenever this is not true, it defaults to this one. Because these are run in order. Or you could click these arrows up here. Now inventory is important too, because this is what you give them, like if you want them to wear specific outfits or have weapons. Now we want them to have say something random like, let's give him an elven outfit. For some reason, he has an elven outfit on. In his inventory, we'll right click in here, new, and it'll default put a light in here, but we can go in here and type in steel sword. There we go. Oh, let's keep it the elven theme. So we'll put elven sword. Awesome. And then under spell list, this is what kind of spells he has. So we'll right click in here, new, and we'll put flames. We'll put sparks. And make sure you're clicking the right one. So it would be like healing. It's not like any of these other ones. Don't click left hand, or else it's only when you can use it in the left hand. Same with the right hand. It's only when he uses it in the right hand. You'd want the one that just says the straight up name. So healing. So that means you can use it in both hands. Now perks are important too. If you wanted to give him a shout, you'd put like, I don't know, allow shouting perk, which means that he can use dragon shouts. But since we're not doing that right now, that's probably for another tutorial. We'll keep it like that. So we're going to click out of this and click OK. Click save, and then go back to actor, type in our prefix, and then open them back up, because I just like to save often. Sounds is not important. Animation is not important, unless you're doing like custom animation stuff, but for this, we're not going to do that. Attack data, also not important. Now this is where we actually create the character. I'll show you two ways you can do this. One way you can do it is, you can do it obviously in here, by clicking full head. It kind of gives you the close-up. You can change his fur color, change it to whatever color you wanted, really. So, stuff like that. We'll just say color average for now. So we'll leave them at default, but you can mess with these however you want. It's really up to you how you do it. And you can put it anywhere in between. Leave it like that. That looks cool. It looks like a links. I like links. Now this is where you get a little bit more into the morphs, or rather the body scaling. So you can give them like, oh, eyes type 3, or nose type 4. Just like more cat-like, or rather house cat-like, I guess. And then there's 5. Mouth, we'll leave it at 2. Give him a nice little like :3 mouth. And face animation preview doesn't really matter too much. It's just like consonants and vowels and shit like that. We'll just kind of like randomize these a bit. And then in here under base head parts is where you change like his hair. So if you want to give him like male hair 6, that one, I think I have a mod installed that changes it a bit, but that's it. Facial hair, we can put whatever we want, so mustache, but we'll keep it at no beard for now. And then eyebrows, there are no for Khajiit, so it doesn't matter too much. Additional head parts. If you wanted to give him like a scar or some facial blotching, you could go to additional head parts here and then go under, on the left, go to character, head part. And then he's a male, so it would be under male or unisex. But you can go ahead and click head part, get rid of the filter, and type in Khajiit. And you'll find all of the parts that Khajiit can use. So here's some of the scars. So we'll give him scar 3. That looks cool. Give him scar 7 too. I don't know where that went. I can barely see it, but it's in there somewhere, I guess. And then we'll go ahead and click OK. Save once more. And now if we go to actors and type in our prefix, find our character, if you hit Control F4, you'll get export face gen data for all the selected NPCs. Click yes. What this does is it exports the face gen data, obviously, but it makes it so that it shows up correctly in game. And that you actually have the generated files for it to package. So that's our NPC. Now we're going to give him a voice type. I mentioned we were going to do that earlier. So if we go under character, and then at the very bottom of character, like here on the left, you'll see voice type. Right click, new. Put in our prefix, AFE, test, VT for voice type. You can put a gender here, but it doesn't matter too much, because it's whatever voice they have. And then we'll click OK. Save. Because the creation gate likes to crash. And we'll go back to our test NPC under actors. And all the way to the left, back under traits, where you'll see the voice type here. It will probably say none. You can put your voice type. AFE test VT. Now, how would I describe a voice type? So a voice type basically is You can put a voice type on any NPC and they will speak in that voice. And certain dialogue parameters require certain voice types to be said. So if they were, say, male even toned, or I think female even toned is another one, but also female young eager is one that can be a bard. But if they're one of those voice types, they could say the bard voice line, or certain voice types can say merchant voice lines, stuff like that. And I'll show you what I mean when we start getting into the actual dialogue, which we will do right now, actually. So under character, we'll minimize this, and we're going to go to quest, and we're going to create a quest. Now that might be a little bit weird to you, because why would we need a quest? We're not really telling a story here, we're just kind of saying, oh, we need them to speak dialogue. Well, dialogue is all held inside of these quests. Consider them the scripts to a movie. So under the ID, we'll put our prefix AFE test NPC dialogue. And we're going to click OK, because as you can see up here, there's only 4 or 5 tabs. So we'll click OK, save, and then reopen our quest. And then you'll have all of these tabs back. For some reason, when you open the creation kit and create a new quest, it doesn't show you all the tabs right away. You gotta close it, save it, and then reopen it, and then all these tabs will appear. So if you see that, don't worry. Priority, we're going to put at 50, which is a rounded number that I usually put my dialogue at. Start game enabled, which means that when you start the game, this will be enabled. Run once. And allow repeated stages isn't always necessary, but sometimes it is, so we'll just kind of leave it like that for now. We're on alias fill failure. We'll talk about aliases in a bit. So we don't need a quest name because this is not going to really show up anywhere in like the journal or anything like that. This is just going to be running in the background. So quest dialog conditions, we're going to right click, new. And we're going to type in the condition function, get is voice type. And as you can see, this is where that voice type comes into play. And we'll put AFE test VT, which it kind of defaulted to since my name begins with an A, equals 1, which means that it's true. And as we talked about with the global variable, that means that it's true, 0 would be false. And this quest dialog conditions right here on the quest data tab is applied to everything in the quest automatically. So this is like a blanket sort of condition where it's like, oh, to say anything that's in this quest in particular, the character needs to have this voice type. If it doesn't have this voice type, the character will not say any dialogue that is in this. That's how we make it unique to our character. I hope that makes sense. Quest stages, we'll right click in here, click new, leave it at 0, but when you click it so that's highlighted, click startup stage. And then I just like to do that. I don't know if it's necessary per se, but it makes me feel better, so I always do it just in case. And what stages would be is that if this was like a normal quest where it had progression and story and stuff and actually showed up in the journal, stages are like what part of the quest are you on and what shows up in the journal at any given time when you're at that part of the quest. We're not going to get too much into that right now because that's a bit out of the scope of the video and also not really related to what we're doing. So quest objectives is the same. If we were creating a follower, you'd create some stuff in here, but again, I'll leave the Joseph Russell video in the link below, and he does a much better job of explaining it than I would. But it's not important for right now. Quest aliases. This is important. We're going to right click in here and click new reference alias. It'll take a second. There we go. Now the alias name is going to be test NPC. And we're going to click optional, allows dead, stores text, and allow disabled. These aren't too necessary, but I like to keep them on just as default. Optional means that if this NPC alias is not filled, then it'll still run the quest. It won't stop the quest or crash or anything like that. Allow dead means that a dead NPC can fill this alias. Stores text means that it stores the name of the alias, so that if you needed to display it in a journal, then you could use the stored text as whatever the name of the alias is. And allow disabled means that if this NPC is disabled, then they will also still fill the alias. Again, it's not too important right now, maybe optional is, but these are the default that I always click. So feel free to copy, feel free to not. It's going to work either way. Now we're going to go under, these are the type of fill types. Well, I should probably talk about what an alias even is. So we have the actor, right? It's the NPC. The alias is like a role in a movie. And the actor can be taken on to fill that specific role in the movie. So we created the role, but without the actor, the role is pointless because there's nobody to play the role. So what we're going to do is pick an actor, go to unique actor, and find our test NPC, AFE test NPC. And now we hired this actor to take part in our movie under this role. They play the test NPC. Does that make sense? I hope it does. I'm asking you like you can respond to me. But that's really how it works. And we don't need to do any, oops, I keep doing that. We don't need to do any conditions. We don't need to do any alias data, spells, or keywords. But if you're making a follower, you would put stuff here, which again, Joseph Russell video. So we're going to go ahead and click OK. And we're going to go ahead and click OK again. And we're going to save. Because I am paranoid. Now we're going to go back into the quest. Now dialogue views is like, it shows you the tree in like, or the dialogue in like tree form. So there's like player dialogue and stuff like that. It's handy, but I find it a bit confusing and obtuse to use. So we're going to go to player dialogue. And under branches on the left, we're going to right click, new. And right here where it says AFE test NPC dialogue, we're going to put an underscore at the end and say follow me. And where it says topic, we'll just delete that and put A1. And right here, we'll click this on the right, subtype. So a branch is like the first thing. Sorry, drinking my coffee. Sorry, I'm getting all confused. So a branch is like the first top level thing that they're going to say. And it could be something like, oh, like this is, you can have several branches and each one shows up as a different dialogue option at the top level, I believe. So we only have the one now, but I can show you what more look like in a second. So we'll focus on the one for now to keep it easy. So we have this subtype. These are all the topics that'll show up under this branch. So we'll put under topic text, this is what the player will say, follow me. I know we said we're not going to do a follower, and then I ended up kind of doing a pseudo bare bones follower, but this is just showing you how the basic functionality works. So this isn't, don't use this as like a permanent follower tutorial because there are much better ones out there than whatever the hell I'm doing right now. So we'll right click in here, new. And for their response to follow me, we'll say, this one will follow. And they'll be very happy about that. So you can click an emotion type down here. And the emotion value is how much, or how, the scale of what they're showing, like, are they super happy? Then they'd be like 100, the biggest smile you've ever seen. If they're kind of happy, put it like a 10. And they have maybe a slight smile, but they're much more muted about it. Give it a 50 for now, nice in the middle. We'll click OK. And we'll say the conditions for saying this would be, we'll go under conditions, right click new, get global value. And we'll put in our global value we made before. So AFE test following GV. Click OK. And if that global value equals 0, so if it's false and they're not currently following you, this dialog will show up. And you can ask them to follow you. We'll right click this, click copy. We'll go to that one that we made underneath. And we'll change this to, this one will go back. And we'll click OK. Now we'll click that condition that we made that we copied. And instead of it being a 0, we're going to say it's a 1. That when it's true, and they are following you, this dialog will show up. Now we're going to put something here in the prompt under follow me. What this does is it overrides whatever the topic text said. So we'll say, you can go home now. And whenever this is true, and this dialog is available, instead of saying follow me, the player will have the option to say you can go home now. And we'll show you what that means in the game in a second. So then that's good. Now on the left here, we'll click new. We'll create a new branch. And we'll call this how are. And we'll say how are things A1. That creates this. And under topic text, we'll say how are things. And we'll give them some dialogue to say. We'll give them one line now, but you can always do as many as you'd like. I'll show you how to do a couple actually. So we'll say, Ajit is wonderful. And they'll say happy. We'll put this at like 75. He's very wonderful. And we're going to go ahead and click random. And that means that it picks these at random, so it doesn't just use the same one over and over again. And for conditions, we won't have any, so we'll just leave it at blank. We'll click OK, and then we'll copy again. And instead of Khajiit is wonderful, we'll say this one is good. And we'll say that they're also happy 50 for this. You can also give them specific animations if you wanted them to use, say, like a applaud animation, put applaud 5. We'll keep it there just to show you what it looks like. And they'll give you the most exaggerated fucking applause you've ever seen, but it's very funny. Click OK. And we'll keep that at random, and we'll click OK. Now, what you see is that we have these two branches here. Both of these branches will show up at the top level of when you first interact with them. It'll say, follow me or go home, of course, as we said here. And then it'll also say, how are things? Now we're going to set the priority of these. And basically what the priority is how or what order do these show up in. We'll say that this is 100 because I like to put follow me and go home at the top. And then we'll say, how are things? Right under that. So we can leave that at 50, but if you had more, you could organize it by saying, oh, we'll put this to 90 or 80. And that's the order that it would show up highest to lowest. We'll click OK. Save once more. Back in. And now we can go to, so combat dialogue is interesting. You right click, new topic, and it gives you a list of things you can say. Now, these are events, and what events are basically, they're triggered when these certain things happen with this NPC. So when the NPC attacks, they'll make a combat grunt. They'll say, ooh, take that, stuff like that. Power attack means that they're doing a heavy attack, obviously. So it'd be like, stuff like that, more intense. Then there's hit. It's like when they get hit, they'll say this thing. Avoid threat isn't used that much, like I said. Death, what they say on death. And taunt is like stuff they'll say to enemies that they're fighting. So we'll say like for combat, we'll do taunt. Right here, we'll just put underscore taunt. And then you can right click in here. You don't need to put a topic text because this is an event trigger. So it's only triggered when they're fighting other NPCs. New. We'll say, you are mincemeat. And we'll make them angry when they say that. Click OK. And we'll click random, even though we're not going to do more than one. I just like to click random anyway, because I usually do more than one. And you might do more than one. So, detection. Now, detection is basically the different stages of combat that they're in. Are they searching for an enemy? Are they currently engaged in combat? Did they lose sight of the enemy that they were just fighting? There's different mixes and matches of what you can do here. And I'll show you, it's similar to combat. They have alert idle, lost idle. So if they're on alert, they'll say these idly. If they lost sight of the enemy, they'll say these idly. And now normal to alert, alert to combat, or anything that has 2 in it, that's set at the transition between 2 states. So if they're in combat and then they just finished the fight and they're returning back to their idle state, they'll say this. If they are normal and they think they hear something and they go to alert, they'll say this. And then they'll start saying these idles once they're in the alert state. We won't do any of those right now, but that's what they do for future reference. Now we can go to miscellaneous or the MISC tab. I'll right click, new, and it's the same deal. You know, all these events. The ones I typically go to are stuff like goodbyes, hellos, and idles. But for the sake of the tutorial, we'll just do probably hellos and goodbyes. And you can go through these. I'll leave some links in below to what all of these are and what they do and which ones are used and which ones aren't used, because some of them aren't used in the game, but on the wiki of the creation kit, there's a very good sort of resource for seeing what lines are said and when. So I'll leave that below. We're going to click hello. We'll do underscore hello. And awesome. So we have our hellos, and we will again leave topic text blank. And right under here, we'll say new dialog, hello. We'll keep it in neutral, click OK. Do random, click OK. Now, you can do something really cool with dialogue. I should probably show you this. But you can create conditions on dialogue, as we already discussed, where they only say the dialogue under certain parameters. And I discussed this slightly in my locational-based dialogue, where you can put, like, get location... Sorry. Get in location. How's it? Get lock type. What the fuck is it? I always forget. Get is lock. Oh fuck. Get lock. Get location. What the fuck is it? Lock type. Is lock type? Whatever. But you can set it to like certain locations, and I'll leave a link to the tutorial for that I made. It's only 5 minutes. But you can also do like get in cell, or like get in world space if you want to do like what world space they're in. And they'd only say this dialogue when they're in that specific location or world space. Now what we're going to do here is say get current time. And we'll set this to less than or equal to 12. And this is on a 24-hour clock. So anything before 12 would be morning. And then 12 to 24 would be evening and night. So if it's before, we'll say less than. So if it's less than 12 at, noon, they'll say, good morning. They'll be very happy about that. They're a morning person. And now we'll go ahead and copy that. Down here, under good morning, we'll say, good evening. And we'll change the get current time from less than to greater than. So if it's in the evening, they'll say good evening. And we'll go ahead and under topics, right click, new, and we'll go to goodbyes. Add underscore goodbye. And topic text is blank once again. Right click new. We'll say goodbye, Fred. And we'll click random, and we'll just do one more just for the sake of it. And we'll say so long. Neutral. Okay. Now we get to the fun part, I should say, where we actually record the dialogue. Now there's a couple ways you could do this. I would highly recommend getting a free program like Audacity. Audacity is great because you can actually edit the audio and make it sound a lot better, and then also tweak the settings so it sounds crisp and clear. The Creation Kit dialogue stuff, you can record in it, but it's not the best quality. It's good for testing. But I want to show you a quick thing that I do to kind of set it up that I use the recording for. So we're going to go under to a random dialogue. We'll just do the first one. So this one will follow. We're going to double click this, open up the edit response again. Now you're going to you probably notice some stuff down here that says record, browse, from WAV, LTF, stuff like that. What we're going to do is click record and record some nothing dialogue that we're just going to get rid of. But what it's going to do is create the necessary folders we need in the data folder to actually put our real files, which I'll show you how to record in a second. So we'll click record. This one will follow. And click save. And you'll see that it generates the WAV and the lip file. Now again, we're not going to be using these. We'll be using Audacity, but I'll show you what this created. Skyrim Special Edition. We'll go to data. Then we'll go to sound. Under voice, you'll find your name of your mod, which if you pre-recorded the dialogue in the Creation Kit like I just did, sorry, I'm getting the sniffles, my allergies, then you'll have this folder here with your mod name, .esp. And you can go ahead and just delete the temp stuff. That's the stuff we made we don't need. And then you'll find the voice type of your NPC in here that if you recorded it, again, recorded in here, this will be made. And I'll just delete that because that's the stuff we recorded that we don't need. Now I'm going to show you Audacity. Here it is. And we're going to record some dialogue. So this one will follow and this one will go back home. But under audio settings, you want MME. You want to set your playback device to be your headphones, speakers, whatever they are. You want your recording device to be set to whatever your microphone is. Now this is the important part. For Skyrim to recognize the audio files and generate lip sync for them, they need to be on mono channels. So instead of stereo, it's on mono. And they need to be at 44,100 hertz specifically. Remember that, okay? So your quality under audio settings in Audacity, Project sample rate and default sample rate need to be 44,100, and default sample format needs to be at 16-bit PCM, or just rather 16-bit here. And that'll be saved as a WAV file, which I'll show you in a second. But we'll go ahead and record this dialogue real quick as a mono file. So right click, add mono track, and you can rename it by right clicking it and just say, call these hellos. And we'll say, this one will follow. Now, one thing that I didn't do that I'm going to show you how to do actually is you want to leave 5 seconds of silence beforehand. It doesn't have to be 5 seconds, but that's a good rule of thumb, is to just leave as much silence before you start recording anything as possible, because you can use that sample of ambient noise to, sorry, my phone's going off, to denoise the audio and make it sound crisper. So we'll leave that 5 seconds in. This one will follow. This one will follow. As you can see, it's kind of noisy. We'll clean that up in a second. This one will go back home. And I realize that these aren't follows, these are actually follow me. So we'll record the rest of the lines real quick. Good evening. I think that's all our dialogue. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to highlight by left clicking and make sure that this little bracket icon looking eye thing is selected. So selection tool, or just press F1. And you're going to highlight this. Silence. You're going to go under effect. You're going to go noise removal and repair. Noise reduction. And you're going to get the noise profile. I'm going to maximize this. So after you select that silence and get the noise profile, go click anywhere, click Control A, and it'll select everything. Or you can just click and drag like this, but I like to just hit Control A because it's easier. Go under effect, noise removal and repair, noise reduction. And instead of getting noise profile again, we're going to set this to 30, this to about 5, just be 5. And then frequency, smoothing, bands, we'll set to 5, noise, reduce. And we'll click OK. And that's going to denoise the audio. Now, the next thing we're going to do is go to noise removal again, but this time go to noise gate. And I'm just going to use the default settings for this. So this is what they're set to. I don't know if yours will be different or the same, but we're going to click apply, and that'll set the noise gate value. What noise gate does is it basically takes the highest and the lowest loudness that it can detect and opens and closes the gates, per se, to allow that noise to be recorded, or at least pass through the threshold to be heard. Normally that, like in OBS, there's a filter for that kind of detects it in real time, but this is more of like a post-processing thing. I'm not going to go too much into how it works, but know that it's important and it makes the background noises less audible. Delete that space now that we're done with it. Delete these because these are generated when you make some of the effects. It kind of creates all that white space. And we're going to go ahead and click Control A again. We're going to go to equalizer and filters, EQ and filters, bass and treble. And we're going to set bass to 5 and treble to 5. Volume, sorry, out of order. Effect, volume and compression, normalize. And you want to set this to anywhere between -3 and -5 for the normalized peak amplitude too. I like to set it to -5, but as long as you're consistent with it, that's all that matters. We'll go to apply, and you'll see that changes it up a bit. It kind of increases the wavelength and normalizes them all to be sort of equal. Effects. Now we'll go to bass and treble, set this all to 5, and click apply. Next we'll go to effect, back to EQ and filters, filter curve EQ. And you're going to go to presets and settings, factory presets, low roll off for speech, and your curve will look like this. And we're going to click apply. Generates more of that white space. For some reason. I'm not entirely sure what dictates when and when not it does it, but Control A, effect, and we're going to go to volume and compression, normalize one more time, keep it at whatever value you set it to originally, -5 for me. Then we're going to go here, back to volume and compression, and click compressor. And this just kind of compresses the peaking so that it's not really getting too high, too loud, too blown out. And we'll click apply. These are the settings I have. I think they're default, but I'm not entirely sure. You feel free to copy them if you'd like. I'll leave it here for a second. Then we'll click apply. Feel free to pause if you want to copy those. And then effects. I like to do loudness normalization as a habit. It's not too necessary, but it helps me even out some of my loudness and stuff, so click OK. Now we'll give this a listen now. This one will follow. As you can see, it's much crisper, much cleaner, sounds a lot better, and it's perfect for recording follower dialogue. So we're going to go ahead and now start putting these in. So we kind of have our work cut out for this, for us with this, because it's a little bit tedious. But we're going to click on this one will follow. Click on here, and under voice file name, you're not going to see this when you make the file, or the dialogue rather, but you're going to see it after you close it and then open it again. We're going to copy whatever that says. We're going to go to this one will follow, which is this line right here. This one will follow. Click File, Export Audio, and you may get a window that says, oh, do you want to save it to the cloud or export it to the cloud, export it to your PC? Just click, don't show me this again, and then export to PC. And you're going to put the name of what we just copied in here. And the folder you want to copy it to is under Skyrim Special Edition in your Steam library. Go to Data, Sound, Voice again. Go to that voice type filter that we saw created earlier. So AFE Test VT is the voice type we're doing this for. And you're going to save it right in that folder that was made when we recorded in the creation kit. And you're going to make sure it's set to mono, 44,100 hertz, signed 16-bit PCM, export current range, current selection. If this is grayed out, you don't have a current clip selected. So make sure that the clip that you want to export is selected. In my case, it's the follow me. This one will follow. Click export. Now we're going to do these for all of the voice lines we made. It's just very tedious. But before we do that, I want to show you how to create the lip sync file. There's a couple ways you can do this. You can use the in-game or in creation kit rather method of going down here, clicking this, clicking from WAV, and then generate lip file, and it'll make it for you. But you have to do that one by one. There's a way to do it all in one go automatically, but it requires a third-party plugin that's very easy to install, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. But well, I'll leave a guide. It takes 2 seconds, and I'll leave a link to the mod page. But that's how you do it in the creation kit. And then we'll go to this one. We'll go back home. This line. This one will go back home, and we'll do the same exact thing of just copying this, saving it to that voice type folder. Boom. There we go. And now you're going to do that for all the voice lines. It's very fun, as you can imagine. So we'll speed through this real quick. So I imagine the voice works, but they don't have lip sync data. And I'm going to show you how to do that very easily with this sort of creation kit phonics data fix. Now, I'm going to leave a link to this guide below. And basically what you do is you need to download this mod. And right here, all the instructions on the main page, which is just download it like any other mod. And that's basically it. I think you can download it with the mod manager even. Like, it's super fucking easy. And you're going to take that and you're going to create a shortcut of the creation kit, which I have on my desktop. I could fucking find it. Jesus Christ, there's so many windows open. And I have it right here. You're going to right click the shortcut that you made, and it has to be a shortcut. It cannot be the main file. It has to be a shortcut. Go to properties, and now you're going to add this dash, space dash, generate lips, colon, and the name of your mod, .esp. Now, I have it for another mod right now, but we're going to leave it at this just because I don't want to mess with it. But basically, when you double click it and open it, it'll auto-generate all of the lip sync files and then close once it's done. That's why you want it to be in the shortcut, not the main file. And I'll leave a link to this guide in the mod below. So last but not least, we need to actually put the NPC in a cell. And the way we're going to do that is through the cell view. So I have the cell window open right here. If you don't have it, you can go to view, then click, sorry, not view. Oh yeah, it is view. Cell view window. And that'll toggle that. And interiors, we're just going to put them inside somewhere. We're going to in here type in world space under interiors, Riverwood. And we'll put him in the Sleeping Giant Inn. We'll double click that to open it. Now be careful you don't actually edit anything inside the cell. It can be quite easy. So it's, of course, middle mouse, drag to look around, shift to look around like this. and scroll wheel, all that jazz. You'll see all these markers here, just ignore them. Or if you don't like seeing the markers, sorry, I'm drinking tea. Go ahead and click M, and that'll hide them. Click M again, they'll show up. Now under actor, we're gonna take our dude, AFE test NPC, put him right here, drag and drop. Boom, easy. And if he's in the air, just press like F and he'll drop down. I have a hair mod installed that kind of fucks with it, so it's gonna look a little weird. You can have these strands coming off of him for some reason, but that's not gonna show up in game. It's just a mod I have installed that I think I forgot to unload after this, or before this. And there's our dude. We'll go ahead and click Control S, save that shit. Boom, 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 just click it a million times. And then click that, boom. And now we're gonna boot up the game and take a look and see what it looks like. All right, before we do that, one thing I realized I did not do is actually set the global variable to change when we have them follow us, which is kind of an important thing if we want that part of the script to work. So we're going to go back to the quest, AFE test NPC quest, and under player dialog where we have the follow stuff, under here, we're going to go ahead and put a semicolon in here, which means that it's just like a comment. It's a nothing thing. That's not going to count that as code. We compile, and it'll generate a script fragment for us. And a script fragment, which can be at either the beginning or the ending, will run at the corresponding part of the dialogue. When the dialogue begins, it'll run here. When it ends, whatever's in here will run here. I'm going to click OK on that. Because in order to do what we need to do, we need to close out that window. Again, save. Open it back up. Open up the dialogue again. And then right here, we're going to click the script and click properties. We're going to click add property. And the type of property we're going to add is a global variable, which is the variable we made before. And we'll just call this the same name we called the variable. So I believe it was AFE underscore test following GV. I don't remember if there's an underscore under there, but okay. And if you named it exactly the same, it'll just autofill it with the variable. But if not, you can just go to pick object, find your variable in here. We're going to click OK. I already forgot what I called it. Maybe test following GV. Okay. Now in here, we're going to say AFE test following GV, which calls the variable. Put a dot, set value. And this will set the value to whatever we put in these parentheses right here. For this case, it's going to be set to 0 when we start this dialogue. We want to set it to 1 at the very end. We compile. Now copy that. Click OK. Go to this one, we'll go back home. In here, paste it, and set the value to 0. And this will change the condition of that package that we made earlier. Oops. Oh, I didn't make the variable. That's right. I got to actually make the variable in this. Properties. Properties. Uh-oh. Oh, I thought we crashed. Okay. Add property. Do the same. Global variable. Oops. AFE test following GV is the name. That'll autofill, but again, pick objects. Enter variable in here. Okay. And now we click compile. And now it'll work because we forgot to make the variable, which I'm a dummy. That's on me. Click OK. Now when those respective dialogue, lines are said, it'll run those pieces of code, change the variable from 0 to 1 and then 1 to 0 as needed. And as we discussed earlier, package that we gave the actor requires that one variable to be a 1 in order for them to follow you. And a 0 means that they're just going to sandbox in here. I hope that makes sense. This might be a little bit advanced, but this is a sort of impromptu tutorial. I apologize if it's a little all over the place. Now we're going to go in the game and test. All right, we're in the game and we're going to go and head to the Sleeping Giant Inn to find that NPC. Hopefully they're there.
Welcome. Let me know if you want anything. Think I got a clean mug around here somewhere.
Did I forget to enable the plugin? I might have. S. Testofferson. And he's not talking. But the reason is that there's a common bug in the creation kit with custom dialogue. What you need to do if they're not talking when you click on them is F5 to quick save, and then F9 to quick load. And that should fix it when they're not busy. There we go. Goodbye, friend. Good morning. There's that conditional dialogue. How are things? This one is good. Are you good? They do the animation even if they're sitting. It's funny. Hello? Khajiit is wonderful. And there's the lip sync. Very happy. Follow me. One will follow. And now that changes that you can go home now because we changed the variable. As you can see, he follows you. Hello. Keep saying hello. This one will go back home. And the lip sync still works. You can tell him to follow you again. And yeah, so there we go. That's how you create a custom little talking NPC. And a little bit more. We learned about global variables, we learned about quests, we learned about lip gen, all the good stuff. So I hope this was helpful to you. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to let me know. I'll do my best to answer them the best I can. And I hope to do more of these in the future. Sorry, this was really impromptu. I'm sure the video is kind of long in comparison to my others. But I had fun, and I hope you had fun too. And I hope things were explained clearly and concisely in a way that you could understand. It may be difficult and daunting at first. It may be a bit hard to kind of overcome the learning curve of the creation kit, but stick with it. Keep trying. You'll learn the ins and outs. Everything is iterative. It builds on itself. Everything you learn will be used down the line in beautiful and amazing ways to create all sorts of mods. And I know you're going to do just fine. So I'm not worried about that. I think you're going to create some amazing things, and I can't wait to see them. So with that, I am Audrey from Earth, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Take care.